Pretend for a second that you didn't stop to watch this video because of my balloons, okay?
I don't think any of us here have to pretend.
You stopped to watch this video because you care about trans people. You watch this video because you want to learn something new about trans people.
I stopped because I care about people and I wanted to hear what you specifically had to say regarding this topic.
I'm Kenzie. I'm a post-op transgender woman who likes to answer the awkward and sometimes invasive questions to help build community between my community and your community.
I highly doubt that, but let's continue.
Today, we're going to talk about things that estrogen does not do for you if you're a trans woman who starts after puberty.
Let me guess, this is all going to be some propaganda on why minors should be allowed to take puberty blockers.
If you already have facial hair, maybe it'll get a little thinner, but estrogen is not going to get rid of the facial hair. And this one's gonna probably upset trans people who really want this to be the case, but estrogen also isn't going to decrease your height unless it's before puberty.
There's that word again.
For the most part, people who think their height changed actually just changed posture. Estrogen will have no effect on your voice. Once you go through testosterone and your vocal cords thicken, estrogen is not going to thin them out. There are surgeries you can get to thin your vocal cords, but as a singer, I'm not quite ready to take that fate. Part of the reason this might be confusing to you is because when trans men start testosterone, their voice will get deeper, because if your vocal cords are still thin, testosterone can still thicken them. And if you aren't growing facial hair on your face, testosterone can make that start in the first place. So HRT for trans women is not going to get rid of facial hair, but HRT for trans men will induce facial hair. If you're young enough, HRT can affect your hairline and the thickness of your hair, but for the most part, it's really not the solution. If it was, people who have lost all their hair, rather than getting hair plugs, would just be put on HRT. Have you noticed that a lot of the things I'm talking about, like thickening voice, height, facial hair, are all pretty permanent things that are hard to change?
Here we go.
This is why blockers exist for trans youth.
And there it is. The real point of this whole video. And just an FYI, GnRH agonists were not developed to block puberty. Their development and initial medical purpose was focused on treating hormone-dependent conditions in adults and certain pediatric disorders. And they do that by suppressing sex hormones, testosterone in men, estrogen in women. Later on, they found out they had another potential purpose, chemical castration. But I digress. Please, continue.
All blockers do is delay puberty. It's not going to make it so puberty doesn't happen. It just delays it. So that way, you can get to the bottom of what's going on with that person before they have permanent drastic effects.
That is absolutely not true. You can't send your body back in time to reverse something that you've already done to it. It's not like you can take this medication for a year or two and then stop and your body's just going to go into like full-on puberty and just complete the whole amount of puberty it was supposed to do over the time span of 5 or 6 years. And even if you stop taking it, your body is still going to be going through the repercussions of having been on that medication for so long. Now, maybe if somebody had only been taking this medication for a couple of days or a couple of weeks, maybe even a couple of months, they wouldn't have any long-term effects from it. Maybe. I don't know enough about it to be able to say one way or the other. But if you've been taking it for years, there's no undoing any of that. Your body's not going to go through a whole 5, 6, 7 years of puberty in only 2 years. Doesn't work like that. This person is either flat out lying or they are so far gone in Delulu land, they actually want to believe what they're saying. But again, I digress.
Not letting your kid self-explore and seeing professionals about this can lead to your kid having to deal with aspects of their body that become permanent and are extremely hard to adapt and change. While those who do let their kids see a professional and get on blockers either see their kid not get hit with those permanent situations, or if their kid decides, oh, this isn't actually who I am, then they do still get the chance for those permanent situations. You see what I'm saying? If you prevent the kid from having a choice, they only have one choice. They have one choice and one choice only. If you give them the freedom to figure things out, especially with a professional, they have two choices.
In order for your body to grow, to be healthy, it needs to go through what it goes through naturally. Of course, there are always exceptions to this. Some people do actually need medication. But GnRH agonists are not one of them, at least not prescribed as blockers. And they do have some serious, lifelong, permanent effects. Of course, speaking with a medical professional sounds great and all, until you realize that they're trained to just go along with what the child wants. But that's a whole nother topic, and this video is already long enough. So let's just get this over with.
No, I'm not going to spend this whole video talking to you about how trans kids exist. You know they exist. And the only reason you pretend they don't or that they're indoctrinating your kids is because you want your kid to be exactly what you expected them to be. And if they aren't that exactly and you shame them for it, how can you sleep at night? But you know what makes it so you can sleep at night and shame your kid for it? Say that they're not making this choice for themselves. We all know trans kids exist. I'm living a happy life, but I do wish that I got on blockers when I was young enough to prevent some things.
What are you talking about? That was literally the whole point of this video. And newsflash, sweetheart, we're not the ones who live in a land of pretend and make-believe. There are male and there are female. That's it. If you are born a male, you are going to be a boy who grows into a man. If you are born a female, you are going to be a girl who grows to a woman. Sure, we might have the medications and surgical technology to make the illusion that a man is a woman and a woman is a man, well, at least kind of anyway. Depends on the individual and how much medication and surgeries they choose to go through. But even a man who transitions into a woman is still male. Children need to grow up as who they are, both inside and out. They need to learn how to be content with themselves as they are. People need proper informed consent to make these choices for themselves. Children do not have that. They are not capable of having that. Their bodies and brains are still growing and developing. They need their body's natural chemistry and hormones for that to happen properly. They also need to understand all the potential negative effects that these could have on them. A 12-year-old does not have the ability to do that. And to be honest, it's stuff like this that has led people like me who had a live and let live mentality to now firmly be against all of this stuff. Hell, you guys have even gotten people like Buck Angel to walk away from the community. So go ahead and keep pushing this nonsense. But just so you know, the more you push it, the more we see through it, and the more fed up we get with all this bullshit. How many T-gender pew-pews have there been within the past couple of weeks?